Hey guys, welcome to the Quest Culture Podcast, your place for all things sci-fi, fantasy, horror, the whole thing. But today we're getting in here on our Quest Culture. I don't know what to call this. Maybe like a midday special. Maybe we'll make it a
A
thing.
midday special sounds like you're visiting your wife at home during your lunch break, but sure, why not?
All right, let's. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So we're
Yeah.
doing this midday thing with one of your favorite guests here on the podcast, my friend and friend of the podcast, author, writer, Mr. Roy Schwartz. And we have just seen the Superman movie. We waited, I think, long enough. We took overnight to digest it, and then we decided that we were going to get on here and give you our review. So, Roy, how you doing?
Yeah, we went to the press screening last night, and we did not have enough time to sit and collect our thoughts. So we said, hey, let's do a quick meet and do a 10-minute review so people can watch it quickly. We will keep it spoiler free, I want to add. But keep in mind that
Okay.
just by sharing our general thoughts, we're going to set expectations. So if you, dear viewer, might get biased because of it, just wait till after you see the movie. But we won't deliver any kind of, actual details on the movie. So it's a spoiler-free review. And on that note, I say, let's start with the bottom line. I would give this movie 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. I think I've been thinking about it overnight as well, and yeah, I'm not sure. I think my the fan in me wants to say 8, but I feel you're 7.5. I feel you're 7.5. We agreed once we leave in the theater that 7.5 or so was about where we both thought was accurate. But again, I don't want to be hypercritical about it, even though I know we're probably more accurate than that. But I have seen a lot of people talking about it, and they've had very positive things to say. So I don't know. We'll go through it, and then we'll see.
Yeah, listen,
What did you like about it?
listen, I wanted to love it. I liked it. I didn't quite love it. Listen, this is not the kind of movie where, somewhere in 1978, uh, a 5 or 10-year-old boy walked into the movie theater, saw Christopher Reeve in the Superman movie, and came out inspired, had a religious experience, came out wanting to be a better person. This movie is not going to do that. It's just not. It's not designed to. It's not claiming to. It's not as epic. It's not as inspirational. Corenswet, with a lot of the good stuff that we're going to share in a minute, is not as regal. It's an entertaining movie. It's like a perfectly fine summer frothy, summer flick, popcorn movie. But it's not a great movie. Even though the main 3 actors, David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult, are all great.
I feel the same. I think I spoke about it on the podcast prior a couple times because we discussed it a couple times on your first time on the podcast, episode 1. You guys check it out. And then our last episode that we just put out, episode 13. Yeah, I wanted to feel hope. I wanted to feel inspired. I really, really wanted to feel it. And again, it's not a bad movie per se, but it doesn't make you feel that at all. Like you don't. Interesting word choice you picked before when you said regal. Absolutely. Like there was something, and I think I asked you when we left the theater. Like Superman has been Superman for about 3 years. So the reason why I asked that question is because I'm wondering if that is on purpose, that they're showing that he's going to grow into that Christopher Reeve vision. Even though Christopher Reeve kind of seemed like he was kind of regal as soon as he put on the suit, and then it's almost as soon as he caught the helicopter, and he had that first night out when he was out there saving the cat and stopping the bank robbers and stopping the people on the boat. Like
Air Force
when he
One.
stood there, yeah, like he is like it was. He was definitely more than just a guy in a suit. You definitely got a sense that that there was something super special about him. And it was by virtue of how he acted. It wasn't that he was flying around and super strong and his powers. It was something special innately about that character. And I didn't get that from David. And I really wish, and I don't think he can't do it. I just felt like that, like you said, that's not the intention of the movie. The intention
Right.
of the
It's
movie
not what
was,
they're going for. I don't think he was meant to grow into it and just show, oh, he'll be that. He's just young. I don't think that's the point here.
yeah.
Uh, and I don't think it's the acting as much as how the role itself is structured in this movie. I actually think that Cornswet nails it as an everyman Superman. That's the goal, right? He definitely embodies the spirit of the character more than Cavill. Let's say he's actually my favorite on-screen Superman since Dean Cain. He was also very much like an everyman kind of Superman, and he's honestly my favorite big screen Superman since Reeve. I like him more than Routh. I like him more than Cavill. I like him more than Welling and Hecklin. And to say he's the best since Reeve is a big compliment.
The
Um,
compliment.
and he is the movie's strong point. I think he's fantastic, and but he's fantastic at being a guy that isn't, he's a regular guy Superman. He's relatable, he's likable, he's someone you can see yourself hanging out with, going to grab a beer, liking him as a person, and that's hard to do with the role. But I think that's what they're going for. They weren't going for like Superman. They were going for like, a guy who puts on a suit and the world loves a Superman. I think that was the point here. His Clark Kent is also good, by the way, except that we don't really get to see him that much.
You don't see much Clark. Yeah.
Not Clark at the fall, Clark with Lois, where he's himself. I mean, the bumbling act. He really only had one scene of the planet, which is what you see in the trailer. That's it.
Yeah, which is disappointing because, again, I think I said yesterday, those, like the non-action scenes, I thought were some of the best scenes. So it would have been good to see more Clark. It would have been good to see more Clark. It would have been good to see more Perry. I actually thought I got enough Jimmy. I like Jimmy, though. I like this iteration of Jimmy.
Interesting twist they gave him, huh?
Interesting twist, yeah.
We're not saying what. No spoilers.
Yeah. But it was definitely a new take on the character. But I did like it. I like this Jimmy.
Yeah.
I like the Daily Bugle cast in general. I just thought we didn't get enough of them. The more impressive scenes to me were the slower, more character development driven scenes. Though I will say I have one counter or maybe an agreement. I do think Corenswet is a positive. She shined, but I also think Lex shined. I thought Lex was Nicholas Hoult is so good. I just feel like it's one of the first times where I've seen a Lex iteration, except for maybe slightly in Smallville, where I kind of felt bad for Lex for a second. Like he's, don't get me wrong, he's an awful human being. He's clearly awful. They're clearly making him a sociopath. Like the dude's out of control. But Nicholas Hoult really demonstrate how much Superman being around bothers him. Like he would be talking about Superman and his eyes would tear up, and like he really was embodying this guy who just can't stand Superman. And I felt it every time he was on the screen. And I think going forward, it's going to be fun to see those two play against each other because I think they're very, very, very good. But I really like Nicholas Hoult's portrayal. His portrayal is my favorite since Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a great raw Lex Luthor, like a raw nerve, Yeah. To be honest, it's a pretty easy role to play compared to the other, especially in this version. He really is cartoony. There's not a lot of nuance there, but he's like a fun,
that's why I like
him. He scares you.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I liked it because I felt like they didn't give him much. Like he didn't have much to do, but with what they gave him, I thought he did a very good job at what they gave him.
Without getting political, because we keep things, we love everybody, but in this day and age, you can very much see somebody in a position of power or leadership throwing a psychotic tantrum like a baby. It sort of fits our zeitgeist, but I think even more than Hoult and even more than Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan she's fantastic. I knew she would be. She steals every scene. She's like a force of nature, which fits. That's what Lois is, right? And she really does have, as cliche, they have great chemistry on screen. It's such a cliche thing to say that often doesn't mean anything, but they really do. They like every time they have a scene together, it sparks. There's like you cut the air with she's great. The scenes are great. The big scene they have together, they don't have enough scenes together, I think, and the big scene they have together is a bit too.
That scene with them in the apartment.
I thought it was done. They could have easily cut an entire minute, maybe two, out of it, and streamlined it down. But there was a bit of a circumlocution. They kind of talked in circles a little bit, but fine. This is nitpicking. She's great. I love her. Her and Corenswet, 10 out of 10 for both of them, for sure. She's my favorite.
I love that they made him or emphasized that he's not perfect. Like you can sense like the doubt in him, but you're right. The chemistry was good. Like they look like they could be dating.
Very quickly, I do want to touch about the other characters, which are the Justice Gang, which is not an official name in this movie. And without spoiling, I'll shoot my line. You tell me. My 6 bullets here are Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. Surprised me for the better. He's actually great. Merced or Merced or whatever is Hog Girl. She's fine.
Okay.
Again, without spoiling, the way they made the character in the movie is very distracting and unnecessary. Edi Gathegi, he's appropriately intense, but I have to admit I can't stand that character. I hate that character in the comics. It's such a, flat, empty, nonsense character with a stupid name, Mr. Terrific. And in this movie, they basically made him Batman. So, And I also didn't like that none of them are. I understand that none of them are really heroic, and they did that to show that Superman really is like a better good guy, and the best of the good guys. But it's still superheroes. They shouldn't all be like jackasses. And this, as much as I'm going to say without spoiling, what do you think about
I
that?
think they leaned on that, I think, because they're trying to show how they're just corporate. Like they're not really in it for the heroism so much as just to a god and maybe just catch a check or whatever. But I think that's a choice. I mean, even the way Gardner, and this is in the commercial, so I'm not like blowing anything up, but even in the commercial when they land in that place and there's the war going on and he's just so dismissive with how he how he deals with the soldiers. Like he's deriving no joy from it. It's literally just a thing that he has to do. And I think they leaned on that because I think these guys are just supposed to be, even from their terrible uniforms. I hated them. I hated those uniforms.
Yeah.
But I think you're supposed to hate those uniforms, right?
I don't know.
I mean, come on. I'm sure that James had tons of iterations of ideas for Hawkgirl costumes and a Guy Gardner costume, especially after the Ryan Reynolds. I don't know what that was, but I'm sure that they had concept arts of better costumes that they could have used, especially for Green Lantern. But this is a deliberate choice. This is a deliberate choice to make it look like a uniform. So I think they're maybe leaning into that, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I will though, just to keep things moving at a brisk pace, say that the Kents bothered me. So I know the Kents as characters. I loved that John Byrne kept them alive in the reboot in the comics in 1996. I loved them in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, the 90s. They were they're played by great actors. But here, and again, without spoiling anything, they're basically hillbillies. Why does Martha have such a deep Southern drawl accent? It's Kansas. It's not, Mississippi. And yes, the Kents are farmers. They're simple folks who toil the land, but they're not like, they should still be intelligent and a bit more sophisticated. I mean, they raised Clark, and Clark is a farm boy, but he's not a country bumpkin. He's not like a backwards yokel. And, and they also look terrible. My guess is that they wanted them to be a bit more real, but it came to me across as condescending. Oh, his parents are idiot rednecks. Ha ha ha. He's not in the big city though. It didn't. I didn't like the Kents thing.
I'm thinking maybe he just wanted to show like they're just like everybody. I think there was a very conscious choice for Gunn to take some of these ancillary characters and make them even not ancillary. Even Captain America, as you stated, Captain America. A little Freudian slip. Superman, as you stated, he's an everyman, right? Like he's exceptional because of his powers and because of his heart. But in terms of his the way he acts and talks and such, he is just like everybody else.
Yeah. This is very much an everyman Superman. It's the nice guy next door who just happens to have these abilities.
What do you think of the flying scenes?
They're fine. CGI is CGI. It's never not. This movie is very Silver Age. It's very comic book-y, very lighthearted. And in that sense, it's truer to the comics than any Superman movie ever. It's not necessarily a good thing, right? It was very campy. It's the 60s, the Silver Age of the 60s, if you don't know. And it's very campy. There's a lot of over-the-top, sci-fi, silly nonsense, which is fine. And Superman uses his powers in a way that's very Silver Age comic booky. So it's not all majestic. Like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. The two things I'll say about that really quick is that one, when he fights, a few of the scenes seemed unnecessarily graphic in their violence, where I was just thinking of, do I really want my kids watching this happen or that happen? It was just a bit too much in a couple of scenes. The other thing is that it made the movie a bit uneven in tone, because not like the movie is a comedy. It takes itself pretty seriously. It's exuberant, but it is a straight-faced thing. So you have the serious tone with high stakes and a lot of serious stuff happening alongside really silly stuff, and it didn't always jive for me. That kind of threw me off a bit. It was like speed bumps, but that's a more broad take.
Real quick too, what are your you mentioned to me something yesterday about your thoughts on what age should be able to see this film. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's not for the little ones, honestly, which is really surprising. It's Superman, so it's PG-13. All these movies are PG-13, but that can mean a lot of stuff. Most people are fine if their child sees somebody punching somebody because they're less likely to emulate that. But there's a lot of bad language. So forgive me for repeating, but there 7 times I counted, because I'm a father and I noticed this. 7 shits, 1 bitch, 1 son of a bitch, 1 asshole, and a bunch of middle fingers. That's a lot for a Superman movie. And that violence, one more thing on top of that is the second quarter of the movie, just after the beginning. The movie's pretty fast paced, but there's a section in the movie that's kind of sluggish and kind of, honestly, if you're under 10, you'll be bored. for like a good 20 minutes there. So yes, I think the movie's entertaining. I probably will take both my kids 9 and 6 to see it, but there's some odd choices there.
I'm not going to say too much about, because I want to talk about stuff that's spoiled. We're going to have to do another one of these.
The first thing I didn't think was spoiling it.
I did not like the squirrel thing. I thought that was annoying. I mean, that's all I'm going to say.
I mean, it's a very playful, silly movie, right? But that doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work, and I felt like they'd already made that point earlier in the movie. We get it. We get that it's a very different Superman.
Right. I'll take silly over the Prozac commercial that was Batman v Superman, but still, it was a bit too silly for its own good, almost like overcorrecting.
It takes silly over.
It's hard to take a scene that has a lot of high stakes and serious stuff when a scene before was like preposterously campy. Well, it's 7.5 out of 10. That's why, right? As
a superhero film, it's not bad. I think kids will enjoy it. I think if you're not a fan of the comic books and you're just walking into the theater and you go to see it, I think you're going to like it. I think the ladies are going to love Corenswet.
Yeah.
And Hoult, by the way, and I think this movie is going to do very, very well. It's a good start to the new DCU, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I wanted hope, and I didn't get it, so now I'm like, wow, now maybe I guess I'll have to wait to see if Fantastic Four gives it to me.
It's not an unhopeful movie, but it's not epic. It's not inspiring. I'm not saying it's a religious experience, but it's entertaining. It's fun. It's
entertaining, but it's not. And Superman needs to be epic.
Ideally. But again, all things considered, I really liked him in the movie, and I did it in the movie. I just didn't love it. So, a solid B.
Yeah, agreed. Solid B. If we're going to do grades, I give it a B. Yeah. Thank you for doing this.
I'll go back to the fortress here,
yeah. Careful, don't fall. I think Zod is still down there. So Anyway, thanks for doing this, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Take care.